Today on Slipping Time, the quest for the perfect DSM, aka first generation Eagle Talon. Hello, and welcome to Slipping Time. Thank you for joining this very special episode to tell you exactly what this car is in further detail. I've talked about it in the past a bit in previous videos. I'm going to do a bit of a deeper dive in it, exactly why this car is fairly special at this point and what it took to get it here. So I'm going to start with this car. I should check the date. I'm going to check the date. Hang on. So I bought this car 12 years ago, and tell you a little bit about the shape it was in when I got it. It was full of pieces. The motor was out. The guy had done a rebuild on the motor as well, but it honestly wouldn't turn over. It had relatively no rust, a little surface rust here and there, but really nothing. What I found, it was a prime candidate for what I wanted to do. And what I wanted to do and have accomplished and almost finished, and we'll get to that in a bit as well, what I wanted to do was do basically a quest for a perfect Eagle Talon first generation. And this was a candidate. And I wanted it to be this blue, which is the original color it was as well, but it's certainly been repainted. Now, when I say the perfect one, this car, I stripped it down, right down. Every bolt, every piece, everything was dismantled. The glass, everything. I want everything to be new or looking new, reconditioned to its new purpose. All bearings, ball joints, everything had to be redone. The transmission's redone, the engine's redone. Everything is perfect. And I've always wanted that to basically have better than brand new Eagle Talon. As I started this quest, and you can kind of tell already, and I've mentioned this before as well, I've always really liked the pop-up lights. Some of you don't, some of you do on the first generation when they changed, and there's a first generation A, which has the pop-ups, and then the B, where it doesn't have the pop-ups, plus they changed some of the moldings. I wanted to have that first generation B, which has the rear and the side moldings, but with pop-up lights. And I wanted to do it right. But that took a little work. But I wanted to see what it was. I wanted to do it. And that would, to me, would be something cool if it looked all right, and how to make it even more perfect in my eyes. And maybe some of you agree, maybe some of you disagree. But at least now you get to see what it looks like if it's done like it should have been. This has been 12 years in the making. It's not quite finished yet, but we're very close. On top of that, as I went through the 12 years to make this right, I scoured. I worked with Chrysler. I worked with Mitsubishi. I worked with companies they sold parts to get the last components, honestly, off the shelf that you can find. Things like the moldings that are on the doors here. There's a numerous list of things I won't get into. I'm sure if any of you have tried to buy parts of these cars that are new, you can't get them anymore. And I had to find them. I found the last fabric of some of the carpet and things like that. Like, it was really a search of searches to get this, and why it's also taken some time. It's also been a very slow project because a full-time job, life gets in the way, and I wanted to take my time and be very patient about it. I wasn't in a hurry, as long as it came out as perfect as it possibly could be. I've done a few special things as well, and I'll take you through that. Now, I'm going to reference some pictures throughout when I show you some things on this. This is the unfortunate part especially for you guys. It is for me too, to not be able to look back and see it, but I don't have any video up to this point on what I've done to this car. I have a lot of pictures of after I tore it down and then putting it back together. I don't even have any before pictures with the car and the state was in before that. Just trust me, it looked like your typical weathered DSM that's had a life. But it was a good candidate because the foundation was there, and like I said, it had no holes of rust or anything like that. And I had a donor car for the pop-ups that worked really well, and unfortunately I don't have that to share with you, but I do have a lot of pictures I'm going to pop up as I talk to things that I think you'll still kind of get the idea and take you through just how exact things are and how perfect this car is. And I don't think there's, especially the first generations, there's one as seamless as this. I don't know anybody who's went to the point of taking every little piece apart. There was nothing that wasn't stripped down. I don't know how many pieces it was, and even to make sure that the bolts were still gold and looking new and all those things. That's what this is. Getting the proper rubber for the sunroof that was put in. I did something, recovered the seats just to make them a little more modern as well. I have a bit of electronics to do on it. That's something that's left as well. But let's start taking you through this. I don't expect to get it all done in this video, so there'll probably be some multiple parts, and then as we continue on getting it ready and the first start. I've never started this car yet, so I'm pretty excited when I actually can start this car and see how well it moves and show you kind of a little bit of power I did put into it. It has a 16G turbo for those of you familiar with Mitsubishi turbos. Small one, which I really like actually for a street car. It's just perfect for kind of what I wanted for this to be. It's not going to be probably ever raced because it's too precious right now to ever risk getting hurt, to be honest. And that's a bit of a setback, I guess, when you want a driver's car. I'm still going to drive it, but it's really a showpiece as well, just because a lot of the time and effort and money, honestly, they put into it. OEM parts were used throughout. No jobber stuff was put in. So it is a total perfect restoration of a first generation Eagle Talon. So let's start showing you around the car, especially the first generation, of what the differences are. And I actually have a 92 first generation, I'll call it the B, the later versions, which are from 92 to 94. And I also have a 1990 Eagle Talon, which is the very first year they made them, which is the first generation A version, they call it, with the pop-up lights and the molding. So I'll pop the hood just to show you a little bit about these pop-up lights. I'm going to start with that, what I had to do. And I got some pictures I'll throw up and some of that work as well. So in here, you can't see it with the pop-ups down right now, but in here, I had to disassemble all the 92 components and drill them out on the spot welds, and then take the same thing on the 90 that I had parts car, and then assembly that as well. And I had to dry fit everything to make sure it was all going to line up. Then I had to get it painted, and then I had to reassemble it. So before I did anything, I dry fit everything, and then I put it in just to make sure everything worked okay. You can see there's some aftermarket components in here, but I did it tastefully. It looks like it belongs, and that was important as well. But I wanted to make it as what I feel, if it would have came from the factory, it would have been a more perfect in my eyes of what a DSM and what an Eagle Talon's potential was at the time. Nobody knew it, but it is pretty cool in this. I'm guessing it's going to run around 350 horsepower at the wheels, which is the most fun in these cars if you've ever been at that level. Now the underneath of this car, it is as well perfect. I ended up scrubbing and cleaning up everything, prepping it, and then I did POR 15 under it. And if you've ever done that, that's a heck of a lot of work. I didn't even have a lift or anything at the time, so it was a pretty dirty job. I was definitely suited up for it. It was an experience to get that done. Very happy I'm done it. So basically, if anybody looks at this underneath as a show car, if I put mirrors under it, you can see that it's perfect as well. And that was pretty important to accomplish. Now this engine bay isn't complete yet, but it's almost complete. I got a few odds and ends to do. Obviously the intake isn't on or anything like that. I think I got a boost tester there that I'm just checking for boost leaks before I do anything. I got to put all the fluids in, and I said I got the electricals to figure out yet either, but I will get it done very soon, and I'm going to take you along the way and start bringing you on when we can get this started, and then I'll do a little more of a better show presentation of what it actually looks like. Right now I'm just giving you the highlights of how great this thing is and how amazing it is and how meticulous I was in putting this together, which for those of you following my Lotus stuff, you can see how well that's going to be based on what I'm doing here, and I strive for perfection. If it's not perfect, then I redo it, and that's just kind of where I'm at, depending what I'm trying to do with a car, and that's what I wanted to do with this one, and that's what I'm going to do with the Lotus. You can even see that you can't buy these anymore, but I actually fabricated my own little heat shield here. It doesn't look exactly like factory, but it's pretty close. In fact, it's better. It will protect more of the heat and from the hood and hurting the paint, because I don't want to do that with the nice new paint. You can see that I've got I put in a brand new plate on here, had that made, so that looks brand new as well, which you're never going to find them looking like that anymore unless somebody preserved something right from the factory and never drove it and garaged it. But good luck finding that. But that is all redone, perfect to the perfect font and everything. So now I want to take you along to the interior, which I think is pretty cool. You'll see I did some special thing on the seating. The first thing I'd like to show you is that embossed in the seating. I think that looks really nice. I did the two-tone on the, just like it kind of has in the fabric. I did a two-tone gray. Tell the interior is pretty much perfect. You can see there's a hole right there where we've got to do some work yet on the electronics. The back, and the roof line is all good. So that's that. Well, what I showed you in about 10 minutes took many, many, many hours to do. I'm sure you appreciate that. I thought I'd just catch you up before I start tackling the rest of what needs to be done here. I may do some further details of each part that I did on this, along with some pictures, and describe what I did. Let me know if you'd like to see that. Otherwise, I'll just continue on with what I've been doing. I just felt it was necessary to at least catch you up a little bit on what's been going on with this car to get it where it is and why it's pretty special out there. I thought you'd be interested in that, especially if you like this particular platform. As you can tell, I do. Here's 3 first generations right here. So join me in future episodes. There's definitely going to be more DSM stuff to come. There's going to be other cars. There's going to be the Lotus. Obviously, I'm heavy into that as well. If you really like DSMs, you're going to follow me as I bring this to car events and car shows once it's all ready to go. So stay tuned for that. Of course, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Please enjoy every day, and always make it right.